Peace and grace, Kingdom family. This is Darius Dior. It's Thing Kingdom Media, where we have real conversations with real people, and we share real music here. Today, we got a very, very special guest, Mr. Johnson. How you doing on today, man?
I'm all right, sir. How about yourself?
Fantastic, man. First of all, I just want to say thank you for even taking the time out of your day to come and contribute to this platform. What we do here is make sure that we highlight entrepreneurs, business owners, and people like yourself, man. So for the people that don't know you, have never seen you before, can you just tell us who you are real quick, man?
Yes, sir. My name is Darnell Johnson. Born and raised from Orangeburg, South Carolina. Currently owner operator of Valley Coach and Logistics Commercial Driver Training School. We're headquartered out of Orangeburg. We have multiple locations in the state of South Carolina, in Summerville, South Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina, and we also partner with a local technical college at Denmark Technical College as well.
Got you. I spoke to you briefly. I love the way you packaged that. I spoke to you briefly before we even met here, and I was incredibly interested in what you do, man. And for the reason being is that so many people are looking for help financially, looking for opportunity.
Absolutely.
And so I really wanted to highlight you because I know that you can probably change a lot of people's lives with what you do.
Absolutely.
So if for anybody that's unsuspecting, that doesn't know, or maybe don't even understand what it means to participate in the services that you offer, how can you break down just from a practical standpoint? Because my audience are entrepreneurs. They're looking for the ways to make money, right?
Absolutely.
Can you kind of, I guess, tell us how much money can somebody typically, or in a typical situation, possibly go through your program and end up making in a year?
I mean, one thing about transportation and logistics, we just don't teach, truck driving.
Right.
We also share experiences of where we've been in life. So far as like myself, I was a former motor carrier.
Right.
For those who don't know what a motor carrier is, that's someone who actually have their own rights to operate in their own trucking company under their own way of business, by going by way of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration and petitioning the federal government to operate with interstate rights, as our elders would call it.
Yes.
So, make a long story short, back to your question, it's endless possibilities. And that's one of the slogans of our school as well. Endless possibilities begin here.
Gotcha. What's the name of the company again?
Valley Coach and Logistics Commercial Driver Training School.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, got you.
So when it comes down to how much an individual can make, I always tell folks, going out the door, once they've been successful and complete our training program and examination, because we do third-party in-house examinations as well. Meaning there's no DMV, so that kind of takes off the anxiety piece of the process, because you still have one of us as your examiner, but at least that allows you to feel a little more comfortable. Nothing will be given, you still will be earned, but it should take away that testing anxiety. So that's what things we found that has worked for us in the long run. But going back to your question, so when we teach folks also, don't be limited in your mind, and you're limited in your thinking. Be very wide open, be very, foregoing. It is okay, it is well. So, yes, you'll start off your own journey, in a truck.
Right.
And, we challenge everyone to go out there and get that experience, especially over the road. Don't worry about the local stuff, because the local stuff is going to be there.
Yeah.
Go over the road for that 6 months to a year, get your feet wet, understand how the truck operates, how the truck moves. It's almost like flying, or even swimming, or anything else like that, for the first few months, just to kind of get a good hang of it.
Get a hang of what's going on. Yeah.
Once you get a feel for it, then and only then you're able to graduate your mind to the next process. Because again, the foundational aspect is the CDL, understanding how it works. I challenge anyone, when they get in the field, just to pay attention to all the paperwork you get.
Yeah.
Because that's the start of the entrepreneur journey right there. Whether it be yourself getting into your own truck, or you actually purchasing 80 trucks and having, 80 plus trucks on the road.
And have a fleet going, yeah.
I'll have a fleet, have, brokers or even direct customers that you do business with. So as a motor carrier, as a former motor carrier, I still have my customer base that still reaches out to me, to freight haulage, and we're no longer even in business. That's how strong that pile of, clientele, has been. Now there's some considerations of us, branching back out into the freight services, but however, we would cross that bridge when we get to it. So I mean, endless possibilities within 4 weeks. You can't go nowhere else in this life. And I would go as far as saying it that far. You can't go nowhere else.
That's pretty heavy, sir. You said nowhere else in life, sir.
Nowhere else in this life.
All right, go ahead.
You know, we are second to the Bible. You know,
Okay.
we're second. We're second to
Number
Jesus
two.
Christ.
Okay,
Yes.
I got you.
We're second to Jesus Christ because He's always number one.
Right.
First things first.
Right.
You know, and I'm confident. You know, and I even dislike. I'm not even about to say this word, but for those who even use more aggressive words like cocky,
Yeah.
I will go as far as saying that because that's how much we believe in you, as it relates to the transportation industry. It's a very untapped industry. Untapped.
Is it?
It is untapped.
I mean, I would like to think that it's oversaturated and
sir.
everybody's doing it, and that's why
I can pull up two different maps for you, and this gets us outside of this conversation altogether. This gets us outside this conversation because I can pull up two maps. One, the aviation map, the real-time aviation map to show you how many airplanes are in the sky right now as we sit. I can also pull up the maritime operations that's on the water right now in real time, and you will see there are so many boats out there. There are so many aircrafts in the air. But guess what? Just because we don't see or hear, that don't mean that's not space for opportunity.
Yeah.
There's still somebody back there who missed the flight. There's still cargo that needs to ride. There's still some cargo that has to cross the ocean that no road leads to the next location other than by waterway.
Yeah.
Everything can't fit on that boat. The next boat has to pull up. If all your boats are tied up, guess what? That means mine's next to be filled.
Yeah.
You can have 80 something trucks because everything that we stand on from the dirt that, that this foundation was poured on to the rock base that this foundation, to the rock foundation, which this dirt was poured on to actually get to this point on the foundation, to your concrete on the very floor that's, that we sit upon, to the carpet, to the lights, to the cameras.
Yeah.
Everything moves by way of a truck.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Everything. So
Everything.
real quick, I recently spoke to a truck driver. She's a female. Asked her specific questions about, I guess, the logistics and, being an owner operator versus being a driver. What your cost looks like. She breaks this down for me. She says owners and operators make about $10,000 before deducting maintenance per week and fuel. She said you either have to live in your truck or have 2 or 3 trucks, or have no mortgage and rent. My question about what she said, I was a little confused, right? Because we were asking, hey, I'm talking to people about driving trucks. I'm hearing they're making $1,000 to $1,400 a week, right? We can go get a job. We could drive an Uber. We can make that money.
Absolutely.
Right? And I'm like, tell me where the money is at, because we can make that, right? I'm thinking people making $2,000 a week, driving trucks, and just as a driver.
Absolutely.
Right? So if you can just kind of give me a synopsis of the difference, because I know a brother that makes $150,000 a year. He's his own owner operator. He got his own trucks. All he does is buy brakes and tires and manages loads. And he's like, yo, I do pretty good for myself every time I start that truck up. So I guess, can you kind of give me a synopsis of like what the difference is between an owner operator from an expense standpoint, I guess, versus a driver, somebody who works, right? You know what I'm saying, for a company.
And that's a wide open-ended question.
Yeah.
But I can dive into it somewhat. When it comes down to a company driver compared to an owner operator, depending on what your company actually hauls, right?
Okay.
So it all comes back down to commodity. So it doesn't matter if you're a company driver or you're pretty much your own owner operator, or in this case, your own motor carrier. So you got some different language breakdown in there because you go from company driver, owner operator, and then you have a motor carrier. There's a difference.
Okay.
Right? So the company which you drive for example, as a company driver, that company is a motor carrier.
Right. So specifically as it relates to you, I do want to ask that question because you have a school.
Absolutely.
Right. And so I want people to patronize. I want people to come talk to you about getting educated on how to do this thing.
And
right.
The beautiful part about it is it's so wide open. And the thing is, the nuggets I would share is the fact that it all comes back down to commodity. So let me not, because I gave you 3 different scenarios.
Yeah.
I gave you the company driver, which the company is a motor carrier, but
Yeah.
you have the company driver who drives for that motor carrier.
Right.
You have the owner operator who owns their truck, but they're not a motor carrier. They're running under somebody else's motor carrier operations. That's where you get the terminology of owner operator. Then you get the motor carrier says, hey, look, we're directly registered through the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. We have a truck or trucks or vehicles. I ain't gonna say just trucks because we're not limited.
Right.
It goes back. So that's what we teach, unlimited.
Yeah.
Shake your mind loose.
So many different ways.
Flow.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So it's unlimited. So, it's not just trucks. It's actually motor coaches, buses as well. Yes. You not only just have tractor trailers, you also have commodities like box trucks, dump trucks, stake bed trucks, gasoline trucks, propane trucks, radioactive material hauling type vehicles. And all of that all falls under the aspect of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration when it comes to commercial licensing as a whole. So there's a lot of moving parts when it comes to that as a whole. And with our school, we actually address all of those classifications. So we're like one of two locations in the entire state of South Carolina that addresses, actually, I would say in the Southeast, that addresses all categories of commercial driver's
And
license.
cover all
Yes, sir.
bases. So you'll be so after going through your course, I'm really gonna be straight in terms like anything that has to do with the transportation industry. I'm going to be able to deal with it. I'm going to have the education that I need to be able to engage with it.
Yes, we share a lot of information. I have quite a few instructors. To date, we have about 15 instructors on staff, and they come from different walks of life, different backgrounds, owner operators, motor carriers. I'm blessed to really have a lot of great instructors on board that can not only just share love from their perspective, but also just interchangeable, just well-rounded individuals altogether. Because when you get an individual who's in, who comes to our program, you don't know where they're coming from.
Yeah.
You don't know what they've been through. You don't know their story. But the thing is, we always tell them and say, hey, listen, we don't know where you've been, but we know where you're headed.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that's very common that, we share with them because, sometimes some students will kind of share, in just talking, just share different things, aspects of life and things like such, what has been barriers. So it is our goal and desire to always to assist in removing those barriers, although we can't do it for you. But, if we can give you, a bit of advice and show you how to, round this corner, versus square it off, round it.
Right.
It'll kind of take some pressure off your back and kind of take some of that forward-facing wind off your journey. And that's the beautiful part about it. And, the more and more I sit here and think about this conversation, I just think more and more of the company name. The Bible speaks of valley experiences. Sometimes the valley is actually the lowest point that you can really get to. So, not saying that's a story for everyone, but, it's fair to say that there's a good population that's out there that's come to us with nothing.
Yeah.
A hope, a dream, and, a great prayer that grandmama or somebody done prayed, as they move on that journey. And real life tears and things are shared.
Yeah.
I'm a smaller fellow, man, so they even pick me up, out of joy, when they realize they completed, the process, and they, went as far as, even getting licensure. So we even tell them when it comes to licensure, protect that with all your might. Don't get out here and do nothing stupid. I speak frank. I'm a matter of fact type of guy. I don't, and I also share that with my team, And my team, I don't bother my team. That's what makes my team beautiful.
You let them work.
Yeah, I let them work.
Mr. Johnson, I get the feeling that what you have with your company is so valuable. There's almost not a need for you to sell it. It's almost like, it feels like either you want this thing that I have or you don't. Either you're going to take this ride to go to where you need to go or you're not. And some people don't get that, right? That's kind of like how I feel about my service and my product, right? Like, I feel like you're either going to get this value or you're not.
Absolutely.
It's going to add to you or you won't let it add to you. Where are people actually needing to understand about how to get started, who to call, where to go? We like you. We want to give you the money. We're ready.
Absolutely.
Right? What do we do?
That's such a loaded question as well.
Yeah.
But anyways, loaded but straightforward. So for starters, our phone number is 843-607-0693. You can find us at any of our locations. We have one located just recently acquired here in Columbia, South Carolina. We're headquartered in Orangeburg. For those who are familiar with the big city of Orangeburg, the Garden City,
Right.
I think everybody in the state of South Carolina is familiar with Orangeburg in some regard.
I'm certain.
They pass the street at some point,
I'm
but
certain.
our desire and goal is to be strategically located throughout the state so we can actually serve, our underserved markets. As a person of color, Black man, I don't say I'm black. I'm caramel.
Yeah.
No harm, no foul towards
No
anybody
harm, no foul.
who have the no harm, no foul. I'm caramel. It's just what it is. I wasn't always this dark, so just it's always a running joke.
I'm with you, man.
Go to say kissed by the Carolina sun. My God, Jesus. Yes, sir. It gets hot during the summer. Okay, and those skills pads don't play. They don't discriminate. They can cover this. Oh yeah. But you can reach out to us at any one of our locations. And the biggest thing is we want folks to have their CDL permits when they come in. They DOT medical examiner certificate, they DOT drug screening. And I talk about this point of the DOT drug screening because although it's not a requirement of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, in school it's still a requirement once you get to the fleet. So therefore we're actually setting you up for success.
Yeah.
If that means if you need to study for 30 days, if you're picking up what I'm putting down, you take that hiatus and take at least minimum 30 days and get yourself cleaned up. And the reason I can talk about that, because even in this culture, sometimes we see folks get bumped out because of things like, the marijuana, and I can talk about it because at the end of the day, it plagues our community so bad. And I think we're more so with the education piece, we realize that, hey, and I tell them, I say, don't let a $5, a $10 bag. I don't even know what it costs.
Yeah,
I don't even know what it costs. I got 17 years in law enforcement as well. That's my background as well.
Okay.
But I was never one of those cops who always beat folks down. I was the one that was like hey, now if you got to ride, you got to ride. Now you ride on your own merit. But if I can save you, I was going to save you because I have children. I have nieces, I have nephews, and things like such. So I was going to pay it forward. But then again, I don't have any nieces. I have a daughter, and so no, I don't have any nieces. But heavily populated on the male side.
Right.
But I have female cousins, aunties, uncles. So I share that love, and it's not so much to beat up on you, but it sets you up for success.
Yeah.
On that journey, because it's not my requirement. It's a requirement of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. Because the first thing you're gonna do when you get to your new employer, guess what? They're gonna sit a cup on the desk.
Yep.
The bathroom is that way. Bring it back when you're done.
Because it's so important, Mr. Johnson.
The very first thing, anything involving transportation, you're fine. It doesn't matter if you're a pilot. You're going through the same process. Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration to aviation is covering that. Same thing in maritime. Sometimes people want to get into conversations about the push-pull. Do what makes you successful.
Yeah.
Follow the track that makes you successful. So the thing is, my goal is to make sure we remove any and all barriers. Again, I'm transparent with you. Hey, if you smoke, let's talk straight to it.
Let's talk.
If you smoke, take 30 days.
Let's be straight up. Yeah.
Take 30 days, flush you out. Take 30 days.
Yeah.
And then you approach that journey. And I promise you, you'll be successful.
Yeah.
And I won't just promise you, but I guarantee you, based on my instructor's knowledge, because again, I don't operate from any power of my own. First of all, the good Lord gets all the credit off the back, but then I lean on my team. So I'm slow to hire because I want to make sure I have the right folks in the field.
And quick to fire, sir.
Hey, listen, I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why I don't use that language, because I'm convinced that I do take take the time and due diligence to put the right people in place.
Right. So you don't have to do that.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely not. Because the Bible says a man who don't work don't eat. So I want to make sure that these men and women, because we have a mixed variety, but anyways, it speaks directly to the men. But of course, we want to make sure we set our instructors up for success as well, because we don't want work to feel like work. We just want this to be just a team, and you get home and make you feel like I'm gonna sit on this couch and I ain't even work. I don't feel like I left the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So really quick, and I ask this to everybody that comes on and does a business profile with me. There's something specifically that you want us to know, right? The audience, people that are watching this, and there's something that you want us specifically to do. If you can take a moment to look at the people there, right there.
Gotcha.
Tell them what you want them to know, and tell them what you want them to do, and whatever's on your heart, whatever the Lord may lead you to say to them.
Absolutely. First of all, I appreciate you guys for taking the time to listen today. One thing I will always share with you is there's nowhere that you can go in this world that you can get said training to change the financial aspect and trajectory of your life in a matter of 30 days. And I'm saying 30 days, but truth be told, I call it 20 and a half or 22. 20 and a half meaning 20 days with 1/2 day for examination, or 22 days with total operation. That you can actually start out on a career making minimum $70,000+ a year in such period of time. Low cost of operating, low cost of tuition, and I mean it's just amazing across the board. I challenge all young people from ages 18 on above, because I think there was some miscommunication there in that regard. So the Federal Military Safety Administration said you can go to CDL training school at 18. So for those graduating high school seniors, at least come on and get that credential. For those folks who, might have already been through life working on a secondary career, come on and see us. I mean, our eldest client to date has been 74 years old. So there's no limit to anything that anybody can do out here. But again, we believe in removing barriers. So no matter what your issue is, no matter what the problem is, and everything can be going well for you, but it never hurts and fails just to add that credential under your belt. That's another notch that no one can never take away from you. And I promise you and guarantee that with that particular credential, that credential will outlast you. I will put it that way. So I definitely challenge, all people, regardless of background, social status. And one thing about trucking and logistics, it serves all people, not just some, because everything that we have come by way of some form of commercial vehicle. But if I can help you, let me know.
No doubt, man. Thank you so much for your time. This is Darius Dior. It's Thinking Kingdom Media. Mr. Johnson, thank you so much for your time again, man. I appreciate you. Yes, and if there's anybody that is looking for any business profiling, any type of content to be created for their music or their business, please let me know. Inbox me. Make sure you hit us up and like, share, subscribe on YouTube. Send us an inbox on Instagram or Facebook. And again, it's Darius Dior, Thinking Kingdom Media. And we thank you for your time. Peace and grace.